Hey everybody, I'm Joe Killinger. I'm a real estate investor and entrepreneur, and we put these videos together every week to give you all the tips and insights from my experience over the last several years. So make sure you tune in and subscribe, and thank you. Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in. Today we have, we're going to do how to assess a multifamily property. One of our regular subscribers, Mo, reached out to us and he wants to become a multifamily investor and he wants to make sure he knows how to value his investment. So I asked George Pino. Many of you remember George. He's been in several videos with us. He's a CEO of Commercial Brokers International in Los Angeles. George, thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me in again.
All right, so backstory. Mo wants to, he's flipping homes right now, and he wants to move, he wants to graduate into multifamily investment. So he wanted us to put together a piece on how to value a multifamily investment, a winning investment. So that's why I called you in.
Okay, well there's different metrics that different investors use. Okay. And it is different than flipping homes or evaluating homes in that you have to take a look at cash flow income and whatnot. But the metrics, it's interesting. The first-time users or first-time investors, they concentrate on some of the basic metrics as they're easy to understand, like the gross rent multiples, and then they start going into price per door. Which I never really understood price per door. I like to think of it more as a price per unit. Is what most people, when they talk about price per door, and you have to be wary about that because you might be pricing something that is all studios, but you're comparing it to something that's all two bedrooms. And obviously a building full of two-bedroom units is going to sell for much more than a building that's all studio units. So
less turnover.
Right. And so instead of price per door equating price per unit, I would actually look at it more along the lines of price per door as each bedroom door and kind of convert it that way. I think that you're going to find it to be a little bit more true when it comes to the analysis and the metrics that you utilize. Other metrics to use are cap rates or capitalization rates, which is a factor of the net operating income versus the sales price. Generally, and then of course there's the price per square foot, price per, for the other comparables, and then you take into account the land values, things like that. So I think there's a lot to take into account, but also most importantly, I don't think I would have to necessarily use any one particular metric to value a property, but use all of them because they all tell a story when combined.
Okay. Where does appreciation play for you?
My firm belief in any investment for real estate is buy for cash flow, hope for appreciation. So
that's smart.
With that in mind, it's hard to go wrong if you go that route because if you're buying for cash flow, even in downturn markets, you still have that cash flow, so you don't need to sell. It'll still cash flow and it'll carry that loan. While if you're buying for appreciation, to me that's almost like speculation, not investing. Where you see a lot of people, that's where they get their shirts handed to them, where they end up losing it in a downturn. They try and time that market, try and buy it, and then sell it just because the market's going up. And that to me is a little bit more difficult. But if you are looking for appreciation, there are certain things to look at. Absolutely, because when I say hope for appreciation, it's not just hoping, but also you can expect it if you do your homework ahead of time. So you look for areas that have good growth, they have good transit, good schools. You look at the demographic changes. What's happening in the area is the income levels, are they going up, which means that your rents may go up, and if your rents go up, then the value of the property is going to go up.
People moving in.
And then absolutely, and that goes back to the supply and demand. So if you have a lot more people moving in and you're in an infill area where it's hard to develop or not, it's hard to develop denser units, then you're going to be in demand. And so you're going to have less vacancies, less vacancy costs, and then higher rents. So that will create the appreciation that you need because like any investment, the value of the property is really tied toward the income that it generates, the net income.
Now, if you're a first-time investor, like Mo is, and he's been flipping homes, what's the first asset? What the first multifamily investment you look at? What size range?
Depending on the capital, I mean, because it is different, it's not that difficult to manage, and I think it's really good for any first-time investors to actually manage their own properties initially. Get a feel for it. I mean, you don't have to do it long-term, but you really want to know how the property operates so you know that the property management company, if you do hire one, is doing their job.
Right.
So I'd start off with something smaller, and typically speaking, for a first-time investor, I'd also go for a 4-unit or 2 to 4 unit, a duplex to a fourplex.
Residential loan.
Residential loan, lower interest
down.
rates, less
Right.
down payments to get into it. So you can do that. You just want to make sure, though, that you don't over leverage and that you are cash flowing.
Right. Okay, so you've got your 4-unit, you write your offer. What's your first step? Start your inspections.
Well, okay. Starting inspections, absolutely. You're going to want to inspect it like you would any other type of real estate. So you're going to go through the property itself, the physical inspections.
Right.
More importantly, you're also going to want to look at the leases, and you're going to want to make sure that you get estoppel certificates from the tenants, because you can't just trust what the lease is. It's very rare, but it does happen where an unscrupulous seller will give you a fake lease. So you get an estoppel.
Well, that happens seldom.
Yeah, so you get an estoppel certificate from the tenant.
Right,
the
and
tenant,
they have to sign it.
tenant signs it, verifies the lease amount, that they're current, that the landlord hasn't made any promises to them, and that the security deposit is what it states it is. This way you're not hit with surprises at the end after you purchase the property saying, the landlord promised me this and my security deposit was double, I gave it to him in cash.
Right. Yeah.
There's different things to look out for, so you want to verify that. Take a look at the leases. Also, really, the one thing that's a little different than buying a home for flipping is you're going to want to look at the expenses. So to evaluate the property, what you have to remember is that in today's market and cap rates, every dollar saved is equivalent to potentially $20 in value of the property.
Right.
So the easiest way to do that is cutting expenses. So if you can see where the property wasn't run efficiently,
Right.
if you save $100 a month, it actually increases the property value by over about $24,000 over the year.
Right. Check for water leaks.
Water leaks, low flow, energy efficiency, whether that's landscaping, whether that's the lighting, whether it's water, anything that you can do to potentially make the property more efficient.
Yep. And also, when you're doing your physical inspections, make sure you're checking the roof, see how much time is left on it, plumbing, see what's going on there, make sure you're not going to have to be replacing all the plumbing in a couple years. The physical inspection is very important.
Yeah, that actually is good. Really good that you brought that up, because it brings up one of the most common mistakes that first-time investors or early investors make, and that's that they don't actually budget in reserves.
Yeah.
So when you take a look at a property and you look at the cash flow, you don't want to spend all the cash flow necessarily. You want to have what we call a reserve system. So take a look at the expected life of the major systems that are going to cost a lot of money. It could cost $20,000 to replace the roof. If the roof is brand new, you may not have to do it for 30 to 40 years.
Right.
But if the roof needs to be replaced in 5 years, then you know that you better budget at least $4,000 a year for the next 5 years to replace it.
Yep.
And that needs to come out of your income and expenses into a reserve. So you can do that by looking at the major systems, whether they're even hot water heaters. In larger commercial buildings, a hot water heater, just one hot water heater, can cost $20,000.
Yeah.
Depending on what submarket you're in. It's not like replacing a standard hot water heater at home. So.
Yeah. That's something that you see a lot of first-time investors getting in trouble with. So really make sure you get a good physical inspection done. All right, next step.
Next step, once you do the physical inspections, obviously you're going to want to also try and get the best loan that you can work. So concurrent with that, once you know that you're moving forward, you're going to want to get the loan, negotiate. The residential loans, not much to negotiate on, but what most investors first time going into commercial real estate don't realize is that commercial loans, a lot of that can be negotiated, even interest rates, the terms of the loan, what the
If you're a
loan
solid borrower,
says, the trust, the documents, the trust deeds. everything, and you're going to want to have an attorney actually review that so that they can make their legal comments to it to protect your interests.
Right.
So definitely take a look at that, do that. Once that's all tied up and you're ready to move forward, you know, it's now closing and then moving on to actually making sure that the ownership and transition smoothly.
And then finding the right staff to run your property for. If you're going to have a really good maintenance person, if you're going to be doing a 2 to 4 unit, you probably don't need somebody full-time, but make sure you really vet out the people that you have coming into your property. Do a background check. If they're going to be going into the properties, going into your tenants' homes, then you really want to make sure you're covered there. So I kind of think we covered it all, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, one tip, you know, if you are going to use vendors like that,
Yep.
especially handymen and whatnot, I'd recommend that you just get your own workers' comp insurance policy just to protect yourself in case
Yeah.
they get hurt on your property. They don't come after you, because a lot of the part-time vendors don't have their own workers' comp.
Right.
So if you have it, it's only a few $100s a year to extend it over to your property, because it's based upon what you pay them, and you're probably not going to be paying a whole lot. Hopefully you did your inspections.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of work to do on the property.
You know what? Let's give them some tips that we've used in our investments of what you can do to raise some value on your rents. One, colored wall.
You can do different accent walls. So you know, give them little things that don't. What you want to do is when you're looking for valuations, you can customize design work, even put in some maybe higher end light fixtures.
Appliances?
Appliances, black, you know, the black on black appliance packages or stainless steel packages are really nice, and they actually, people like them quite a bit.
You can add, $10, $15+ a month to the rent for that.
One of the biggest things, biggest trends in the multifamily industry lately has been actual washer dryers, especially in a if the tenants are paying for their own water and utilities. You know, you can they have packaged washer dryers that LG makes that are the size of a dishwasher, and most people
would rather have that than a dishwasher. Single person, yeah.
And they put that in. It's a packaged washer and dryer. It costs about $1,500, but they're getting $50 and up a month extra in rent.
Yeah.
So it more than pays for itself. At $50 a month, that's a $600 a year. You know, on a cap rate basis, it raises the value of the property close to $12,000.
Yeah.
So
and back to the accent wall, you just have 5 different colors for them to choose from, and you do one wall in that color. You can charge, well, depending on your market, but $10 to $30 extra a month. And that can just keep ongoing revenue. Another thing that we did that was really, really a good idea, we thought was, or we know, was we had an investment property that we bought, multifamily, for about 400 units, and no carports. We built carports for 25% of them, built the carports, and then leased those out. It cost us $750 to eat per carport to build it, and we got an extra $75 a month. So those kind of, always be looking for a way to increase your revenue. So, all right, we're probably getting a little long in the tooth on this. So thank you for tuning in. George, thank you for coming in. Mo, thank you for reaching out and asking us to do this video. If any of you other subscribers have, or viewers have any other videos you'd like to see us do, please reach out. And if you're not subscribed, please do so, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.